I'm not going to beat around the bush. We all know South America is the place to go to sign the best wonder kids in Football Manager. It's always going to be the case. And in this video, we're going to take a look at 6 clubs in Brazil. And only one of them is in, I believe, the top 2 divisions, where you probably want to take a look at. And hopefully you can get yourself some decent, cheap, that's the key thing here, cheap, young wonder kids from Brazil. We are starting off with one of the bigger clubs when it comes to Brazilian football, and that is Grêmio, or GRE. One of the most famous footballers ever to come out of the Grêmio Youth Academy is obviously Ronaldinho. Let's take a look to see what they've done in this 5-season simulation. So there are a total of 23 players that have come through Grêmio's youth intake in the past 5 seasons, including Ormar Barbosa, who has a current ability of 112 and a potential ability of 133. We've also got Claudicar Silva, who has 139 potential ability, as does Reginaldo, the 17-year-old right-back. We have Hernani Monteiro, who has 141 potential ability and 110 current ability as well. Gil has 145 potential ability, and he's also part Polish somehow. Edson has a current ability of 124 and a potential of 145. He's currently out on loan at OPE as well, so going to get some first-team football. Gabriel is arguably one of their most rounded players currently as well, with 128 current ability, 147 potential ability. Need I remind you, Grêmio have produced 23 players in the 130 and above range. They also have Melkestekiu, which is a great name, and I'll never be able to pronounce it. He's also part German. He has 149 potential ability. There are still 6 players with 150 potential or higher. Jaya has 150 potential. Luan Martins has 152 potential. Jamur has 153 potential. Lenny has 154 potential. Alvimar Vargas has 156 potential. And I guess the closest player that we are going to get to Ronaldinho in this set of intakes is Heysel Pavia, who has 159 potential ability. In every simulation that I've done with Grêmio, they have produced at least one player with 158 or above potential ability. So over 5 seasons, Grêmio will always produce a world-class footballer, almost guaranteed. Desportivo Brazil are next up. And the other 5 teams in this list, I don't think are technically league clubs when it comes to being able to play them in-game. Desportivo Brazil, obviously one of those examples. A total of 10 players have come through Desportivo Brazil's youth intakes with 120 potential or higher, technically 125. Sergio João is the lowest on that list with 125 potential. He's moved over to Sao Paulo AP, which I think is Sao Paulo's like B team or reserve team. Rafael is another example of one of those players. He's got 127 potential. Thiago Luis has 128 potential. Vladimir Mateus has 130 potential, although I fear he's never going to get it because he has damaged his cruciate ligament and he's not very good at the moment. Miguel Curry has 130 potential as well. Jack has 131 potential. Ney has 137 potential and has moved on to BRA, which is Red Bull Brazil, I believe. You'll notice, potentially with a lot of these players as well, they are leaving on free transfers or they're getting paid £25 a week, so you can snatch them up for literally no money. Marcilio has 137 potential. He's moved over to Uberlandia on a free transfer after being released by Desportivo Brazil. With 139 potential, we have Alex Lobo Costa, who's now playing for Sporting. He left and moved to União Cascaloncia, maybe. It's not even close to their name. Anyway, he's moved over on a free transfer, and he's going to be quite good in the future. Now, the last player, Icario, is somewhat of a cheat, because he's technically not come through Desportivo Brazil, but he also kind of has. If you looked through their youth intakes, you would have found Icario, but he never formally played for them. He's at Santos. He has 159 potential ability. He came through this team, which are literally a lower league team in Brazil. Next up, we have Retro Football Club Brazil, who are a 4th division side. However, if we look at their history, they're kind of not. They've just been promoted in 2022. We're in 2027, so I don't really know what's going on with them. I think technically they are in the game. I'm not quite sure what's going on. They finished 3rd place. Anyway, Retro Football Club are definitely a team you want to be going to check out. A total of 13 players with 120 potential or higher. Caetano Costa Bastos is one of these players. His contract is expiring in 30 days in the save, so he's available literally on a free transfer. Lots of teams sniffing about. Rodriguez has 125 potential. He's already moved over to CTB. Jose Luis has 127 potential, a decent looking Brazilian goalkeeper at just the age of 20. Andre has 129 potential. He's signed for Fluminense. Mateus is the first player to break the 130, signing for Corinthians. He has 130 potential ability, signed on a free transfer. Renato has 131 potential ability, once again available pretty much on a free transfer. He's just moved to Atletico Roraimo, maybe, not even sure, on a free transfer from Retro. William Tironi is next up with 136 potential ability, decent looking defensive midfielder, contract expiring in 30 days, and he's wanted by 14 clubs. Lima also has 136 potential, decent looking 17-year-old goalkeeper. I'd find this man somehow and sign him. He looks good. Jose Renato also has 136 potential ability. He's at ATG. He's looking to go out on loan somewhere to basically one of the half-decent sides as well in Brazil. So he's got some decent looking potential and also current ability. With 138 potential ability, Thiago Henrique Neto is technically the best player to come through the Retro Youth intakes. He's already moved over to Santos, but there is one more player that we will talk about. And that is Lauren Vicioli, who has 156 potential ability, playing for Sporting, but technically did come through the Retro Youth intakes, although doesn't officially say that he did. Now, the next 3 clubs on this list aren't going to be producing ridiculously good players every single year. However, in every single kind of youth intake that I have done, they've produced maybe between sort of 3 and 8 players with sort of 120 potential or higher. Club Atletico de Porto, or Porto brackets PE, I believe, have managed to produce some players with 120 potential or higher. Jose has 121 potential. He's already moved on to Uberlandia. Daniel has 130 potential ability. Attacking midfielder, still playing for Porto. With 130 potential on a free transfer, you cannot go wrong with that kind of player. Robson has 134 potential ability. Doesn't look particularly good at the moment, but obviously at 17 years of age, still plenty of time to grow. We've also got 2 players who have come through the youth intakes of Porto PE, but technically haven't come through. So we have Dudu, who is playing for Red Bull Brazil. He has 136 potential ability. And with 141 potential ability, we have Guillermo Mascarenas. That's actually quite easy to say, playing for Santos. Both of those players have technically come through the Porto PE youth intakes, but they didn't technically play for Porto because you can see their career stats only say Santos. But just to confirm that he definitely did come through, here is Mascarenas, Club Atletico de Porto. He is in their youth intake. So if you were kind of smart enough, you could go through and you could look at all of these players because you can find him there. He exists. He definitely came through their youth intake, but never technically officially played for them. And keep that in mind when I show you Club Atletico Juventus. Now, they have a total of, I believe, 6 players that came through their youth intake with 125 potential, 120 potential or higher. However, none of them technically played for Club Atletico Juventus. To find them, you would need to go through transfers and find them in this list here, because they will still technically be on this list. There's actually 6 players with 130 potential or higher. Abilio Gomez is one of them, playing for Santos, 136 potential. Also with 136 potential is Toninho, also at Santos. With 141 potential, Janio Ramirez Naya, playing for Cruz Azul in Mexico. With 145 potential, we have Erivaldo, maybe, also playing for Santos. 147 potential with Stefan Horta, 17 years of age, playing for Palmeiras. And finally, Estevao Gross with 155 potential ability. Like I said, all of these players technically came through this Juventus team, but never kind of officially played for them. 155 potential on Estevao Gross. It's a good player. And finally, we will finish with Seo Catano, who once again are a lower league side. Now, these are going to be slightly different. They produce a lot of players with 110 to 120 potential pretty much every single season. So let's take a look at them. Obviously, 120 potential, it's not going to be a superstar footballer, but depending on what season and what league and so on that you are playing in, 120 potential could be a nice little moneymaker for you. There are a total of 8 players that came through Seo Catano's with 110 potential to 119 potential. Silvio Luis is one of these. He does have 110 potential. His current ability is about 41, so he's not very good, but he kind of needs game time. He's one of those players that I think, given game time, should get a lot better. Similarly is Carlos Andre. He has 113 potential. Lucas has 114 potential. Osmar de Oliveira has 115 potential. Gabriel also has 115 potential. as does Rubenilson Silva, which, by the way, great name, love that name. Rodrigo Braz has 116 potential, and Pablo Vaca has 117 potential. This is all in one 5-season simulation, by the way. They've all come through the Seo Katana youth intakes, and it's all, like, those numbers, those potential numbers, aren't particularly awful. Like I said, depending on the club that you are, it's not bad. 110 current ability, he's not a terrible footballer. They also have Chao Cesar, who has 124 potential ability. He is currently at the club. He is the last player that technically officially came through Seo Katana's youth intake, but they do still have a few more that we want to kind of take a look at. Because with 134 potential, we have Jose Luis Ramirez, who is currently at Cruz Azul, who's a 16-year-old Mexican. He technically came through the Seo Katana youth intake, but never formally officially played for it. And a similar situation with 144 potential Adriano, who is at Santos. Obviously, lots of potential. Playing for Santos, his price is going to be obviously a little bit higher, but he still technically came through Seo Katana. But the biggest one, and this is the biggest one by far, is Damayo, who is now at Palmeiras, technically came through Seo Katana. He has 187 potential. 17 years of age, capped at under 23 level already. His current ability, I believe, is like 124. 8.6 million to 26 million pounds. He's arguably too expensive. However, he's also a centre-back. He's 6'4" with 16 heading, 16 tackling, and 16 positioning. He's a centre-back. No, he's not a left-back. He's a centre-back, guys. Play him as a centre-back. And in case you're wondering, I have just taken a look to see the best Brazilian player to come through in this 5-season simulation. It is Janilson. He has 191 potential ability, came through Santos. Check out Santos as well, probably. Maybe Brazil is a little bit too exotic for you. Maybe you want to go a little bit closer to home, assuming you're English. In this video on screen, we take a look at a whole bunch of clubs who are not Premier League sides in England that are worth checking out when it comes to stealing decent young players. And you might be surprised by a couple of these teams on the list.